Hello there guys, it's your boy Blue here, back again in another video, and today I'm going to do what if Deku had one for all early. Hope you enjoy it. Roll the intro. So some of you guys in Discord and my comment section suggest that I do this topic. And actually I was thinking of making it, and I know we the Celestials have their own version, and actually I did not see it at all, so I don't know what happened. So if there is some similarities, it was just a coincidence. So for this video, or this topic, Deku will still have the same childhood. You know, being friends with Bakugo, reveal that he's quirkless, Bakugo start bullying him. It's still the same, mostly. Because for Deku to get one for all early, there is two ways. Either he meet All Might earlier than canon, but that will not work because from the Sludge villain, we know that All Might was not in town, or sorry, in the city. He only arrived recently, because he always likes showing off, and I'm pretty sure that if he was in Deku's area, Deku will start geeking out and try to find him to get his autograph or something like that. So that out of the way. And the second option is Deku to train his body. Like All Might told him, his body was not prepared for one for all at all. That's why they have the anime time skip in the anime. So let's stick with this. Deku will start training early, but the question is when. And well, I know everyone have their own opinion about it. So for me, I think this will start in middle school. So he will start his training at the end of his first year in middle school. Just a little bit over a year before he meet All Might. But you guys know me, if I want a character to do something different from canon, I will need a trigger for it. And for this story, there's also two options. Either Bakugo will start being nice to him, and I doubt that, so let's remove that. Maybe I will do it for another what if. The second option, Deku had enough. Since Deku was deemed quirkless, he spent 7 years getting bullied and alone. And I don't know about you, but that's more than enough for anyone else. And the reason I'm saying this, it's because your boy over here also got bullied in both elementary school and middle school by some students and teachers. So to let out my anger and resentment, I always like running or playing football or soccer. Okay, I'm getting a bit off track. Point is, after being alone for 7 years, even though he gets used to his treatment, he let out his anger in training. And because he have no friends, so no social life, meaning the only place that he will go is either his house or middle school. I'm pretty sure he will have a lot of free time to train. So time went on, and because of this, Deku obviously got buffer, and he still have his dream of becoming a hero, so he started looking for heroes that don't have an offensive or defensive quirk. And the closest person that he found any information about, or at least the one that we know about, it's Aizawa. Sure, his quirk is a big factor for his strategies and how he fight, but we were able to see how he was able to take on a lot of villains all at once. And like we saw in the anime, Deku knew about him. So with this he started doing a bit more digging on him to see how he fight, but he doesn't found a lot because Aizawa is not like any other heroes, so plus he doesn't like media, so he doesn't show his moves. Still, he doesn't slack off, so he gets stronger in his own way. People still bully him, but not as much as the anime because they are a bit intimidated by him, because Deku start fighting back because he realized either he fight or not he will get hurt, so he will fight. Not a full-on fight like abandoned, but enough to make people realize that he's not a pushover anymore. Still, he's quirkless, so they look down on him. So fast forward a bit, and like the anime, Deku is going back to his house, going through the tunnel, then the Sludge villain attack him, but this time when he launched on him, Deku dodge. And each time the Sludge villain try to attack him, Deku dodges. And before you say that's a bit unreal for Deku's age. Remember, we have Toga, and we did see what she was able to do in the anime. She was pretty fast and agile, even though without a power-up quirk. She was even able to stab Aizawa while he was holding her with his scarf. So if she was able to do it, and how old she is? Give me a second. Himigo Toga, age. She's 17. When we saw her, I think they mean. So she's 16. And Deku is currently 14. So 2 years apart. And from Toga's flashback, she had an okay childhood. Sure, she was hopeless in her work, but in the outside, she had it normal. Now compare that to Deku. He had it rough, needless to say. So I think both of the drives would be equal, with Toga trying to run away from everyone and Deku trying to get stronger. So he will be able to become a hero. Final point, Deku stronger than Canon in his base. So Deku started avoiding his attacks pretty easily. And at the same time he started thinking on how to beat him or just to run away because he cannot take him on. So then he saw his eyes and he threw his backpack at it. So he was able to blind him temporarily with one eye, but he knew that would not be enough to run away, so he jumps toward his other eye and kick him, making him completely blind for a bit. Deku smile. Nice, I did it. Now to call for heroes. So Deku grabbed his phone, but before he can call anyone, he heard the familiar voice, All Might. And both Deku and the Sludge villain were surprised. So like the anime, All Might just one punched the Sludge villain and he put him inside the bottle. Then All Might looked at Deku and he gave him a thumbs up. Deku bow and he tell him if he can sign his notebook. All Might accepted, and then when he go through the pages he saw that there is a lot of information about heroes. So he asked him if he want to become a hero. Deku smile and nod. Well, young man, All Might reply, I can see that you have a lot of potential, especially with your quirk like yours. Oh, Deku smile fade away. About that, I'm quirkless. All Might was surprised. Quirkless? Deku nod. So let me ask you this, All Might. Now that you know I'm quirkless, can I become a hero? So after All Might saw Deku's fight and saw how strong he is without a quirk, and his determination to become a hero, even though he's quirkless, it gave him a flashback of him and Nana. Then All Might tell him, let me ask you this, young Midoriya, Izuku Midoriya. Young Midoriya, why do you want to become a hero? Then Deku give him the same reason as the anime, and the same speech. All Might smile and tell him, to answer your question, young Midoriya, yes, you can become a hero. Deku tear up, then All Might tell him, so I have a proposition for you. Deku look up, tears in his eye. I want you to become my successor. Your successor? All Might nod, then he grab him. Let's find a way more private area. So they leap into a building. So why are we here? Deku ask. Well, because of this. Then All Might de-transform. Deku obviously fake out a bit, but All Might calm him down and explain his injury. He can only be a hero for a few hours a day because of that fight. Then Deku mentioned the fight, shocking All Might. I can see that you have a lot of information, young Midoriya. Deku laughed nervously. But what do you mean about me becoming your successor? Then All Might explained one for all, shocking Deku. And after All Might stop him from mumbling, All Might tell him before he give him one for all, he need to make sure that his body can withstand it. Because if he don't, he will pretty much die instantly when he uses it. So All Might tell him go to the beach first, and for him he will hand over the villain to the police, then he will join him. Deku nod, so he went to the beach, and when he arrived he saw it full with trash. Then All Might arrived and Deku asked why he's here. All Might tell him to see how strong his body is, plus it's also some community service. 2 birds, 1 stone. So All Might give him some tests, and Deku was able to finish all of them pretty easily. And the reason he's shocked, it's because those tests were made from by Nizu. So they are a part of the training regiment, and Deku was able to finish them pretty easily. So that intrigued All Might and he tell him to remove his shirt. Deku did, and All Might was impressed. So All Might compliment his body and he must work really hard to attain it. Deku nod and he tell him that he was training for the past year and a half. So after hearing that, All Might decide that his body is ready, but because it's getting pretty late, he tell him to go home and tomorrow they will meet. Deku nod. Fast on to next day, and after Deku talked with Nizu and Night Eye and explained what he found, Nizu was intrigued but Night Eye was annoyed, you know, like the anime. So after that, Deku and All Might met and he gave him one for all. Then he bring him to UA because Nizu told him to, because he know how strong one for all is, and he's afraid that Deku cannot control it pretty well. At least not yet. So when they arrived at UA, Deku was surprised. Then he met Nizu and a recovery girl, and it spent some time and he told him to try to activate one for all. Deku told them how. So All Might give him his pep talk, so Deku focused, and after a bit he threw a 100% smash, breaking his arm. A recovery girl quickly healed him, and Nizu was relieved that he did tell All Might to bring him. So here's the thing, how strong Deku and how much he can use of one for all. Luckily we can use the anime as a reference. After 10 months of training under All Might, Might, Deku went from pretty much not able to use one for all to using 5%. So his current body, or in this what if, can use the same amount, 5%, because I doubt his training will be as rough as All Might perfect training. Sure, he will not slack off, but he will not go full on crazy. So for now he can use between 5 and 8%. So after a recovery girl healed him, All Might tell him that even though he can use one for all, his body is not strong enough to withstand the full blown of it. So he need to hold back. But since Deku just got one for all, he can only use 0 and 100%. So Nizu give them an idea. Deku will train his body in weekdays and in the weekend he will come to UA to train his quirk. So they ask Deku if that's okay, and Deku obviously accepts because UA is the school of his dream and he can come every weekend to train. Of course, yes. So of course Deku informed his mom about his new training regiment and how he suddenly unlocked his quirk. Of course his mom was overjoyed by the news, so fast forward a couple of weeks and Deku learned how to hold back and only use 5%, but he still doesn't have full cowling. And as you can see that Deku is not getting what All Might is trying to say, so he called his teacher, Gran Torino. I know some of you will tell me that Gran Torino was the one who called Deku to come to his building to train. And you're right, but Nizu can also see that if this continues, Deku's body will break more and more. Plus the kid just got the quirk 2 weeks ago. And for the other kids that will enroll the next year, they had it for like 10 years. So Deku is in a big disadvantage, so Nizu decided to help him a bit by calling Gran Torino. So Gran Torino meet Deku, and like the anime, he started testing him. And just like the anime, he remarked that he's quite smart. At least he's not an idiot like this big buffoon. All Might did not reply because he's terrified of him. So because of this, Deku learned or unlocked full cowling. And now I think about it, it's almost like the anime. Wasn't the sport festival like 2 or 3 weeks after the entrance exam? So for now we are just like the anime, although a year early. So time went on and Deku realized that he can push his body to 8%. But he haven't tell anyone else about his quirk. Well, except his mom. So for the eyes of everyone else, he's still quirkless. A buff quirkless, but quirkless nonetheless. And because Deku did not save Bakugo from the Sludge villain, they don't have that temporary truce that happened because like Deku told in the anime, after that incident, Bakugo did not mock him anymore. So time went on until the entrance exam. So how much did Deku grow in this period of time? Once again, it will be different from each person. Someone will say that he got 100%, someone will not. But for me, I will go with the anime route. From the beginning of UA until the end of the first year, Deku went from 5% to 45%. Plus the other quirks, Black Whip, Float, you know the rest. Yes, even though Deku did spend some time training with Endeavor, but since we don't know what happened because it was a time skip, I'm pretty sure All Might, the #1 hero, can give him a good training regiment that can actually push his body almost or more than that, but for now let's stick with the same result, shall we? So beginning of UA, Deku can use 30% and he can push it to 45% in the moment of the impact. So it's the day of the entrance exam, but Deku is not going with the rest of the students. Why, you ask? Because he was recommended by All Might. Plus he's already been accepted because Nizu was watching him grow for the past year, so he knows how strong he is. So what's the point of him going through the exam? Even though Deku wants to get it fair and square, but Nizu reassures him that he doesn't need to because one of his training that he did with Deku, it's almost the entrance exam, meaning fighting robots. And yes, he did involve the 0-point robot. And because Deku can use 45% of one for all, and the other quirks, he was able to break it. And that earns him a place on Pauloder's most wanted list. So Deku accepted, but he was still called to come to see the exam. So the exam began, the practical one I mean. And by the way, Aizawa know about Deku. He was a bit, what's the term? Aggressive, like when he saw him the first time in the anime, not having any control over his quirk. But Deku proved himself to him, unlike his previous class. Yes, he still expelled the whole class. So Deku is a nice change of pace. On top of that, the staff did get used to Deku, and during the time they spent with him, or mostly Aizawa and All Might, they soon realized because of his training regiment, he doesn't have any social life or time for himself. All Might told him he can take a couple of days off to go with his friends, but Deku looked down and tell him he doesn't have any. They were shocked and they asked him why. Deku scratched back with his head and told them, my middle school people don't like spending time with a quirkless kid. All Might somewhat know that feeling, so he can sympathize with him. Aizawa on the other hand was taken aback. He have a quirk. So Deku told him or lied to him that he only unlocked his quirk a few months ago, and he haven't told anyone about it. Aizawa sigh and tell him that's a good thing. If they don't accept you without a quirk, you don't need them when you have one. So Deku thanks him. Anyway, back to the story. So the exam is happening just like the anime. You just have to remove Deku from the equation. So there is no changes except when the 0-point robot is going to crush Oraka. So here's the thing, we don't know if Nizu can stop him or not. So to make the story a bit more interesting, Nizu cannot stop it. All Might was going to interfere until he saw a green flash of light going past everyone, and everyone knows that's Deku. They're a bit skeptical because not all of them know Deku's true strength, but after they saw Aizawa looking at Nizu and Nizu nod, they sit down. Back to the field, everyone is running away from the 0-point robot. Oraka is still stuck. Then everyone can feel a wind pressure going past them with a green flash of light. Then the 0-point robot was kicked backward, making him crash, with Power Loader yelling again, and this make All Might chuckle. In the field, everyone is speechless about the level of power. Then Deku descend after kicking the 0-point robot. He go to Oraka and he asks her if she's okay. She nod, but she's still stuck, so Deku lift the rubber off her. Luckily she still can walk, she only has some scratches. Then President Mike tells them time is up and everyone start to leave, and Deku does the same. So Deku met up with his teachers. All Might congratulate him. Aizawa just look at him and tell him 5 laps around the school. What? Really? Now? Deku looked at All Might for help, but All Might just looked away. Sorry young Midoriya, I cannot help you with this. So Deku start running, and with this fast forward a week. And it's the first day of UA. Deku already know where is class 1A, so the second he opened the door, he saw Bakugo and Ida arguing, and the second Bakugo saw him, he stopped and froze in shock and anger. What is he doing here? UA uniform. How did he get in? Then Deku can feel someone tapping him on his shoulder. It's Oraka. She's thanking him for saving her and how he did it. Here's the thing, Deku did not change too much from the anime, so needless to say he's flustered. Then Ida walked toward them and he introduced himself. Then their conversation was cut short with Aizawa showing himself in his larval state, telling them to sit down. And after they did, he introduced himself and he told them to go to the field to do a test right now. They're a bit weirded out because the first day and a test already, my class, my rules. So start moving. They did and they want to change. So here's the thing, in the anime, Bakugo did not corner Deku in the changing rooms. I don't know why he didn't, but I'm not going to question it, but let's just say he did the same thing in this What If. So everyone went to the field, then he threw a ball to Bakugo and tell him to use his quirk, and he got the same result as the anime. So everyone do their turns, Oraka got Infinity, etc. Lastly, Deku. He knew that he cannot use 100%, so he popped 30% to increase his strength, so when he threw the ball, it went pretty far, way more than the anime. Because in the anime he only used one finger, now he's using his whole arm. But you have to remember he's only using 45%, still a lot but not 100%. So needless to say, Deku got the second highest score in the throwing exam. Everyone was speechless, but mostly Bakugo. He launched himself toward Deku, but Aizawa stopped him. So this is the kid that Midoriya told me about, huh? He will be a handful. Bakugo, this is the last warning. If you pull a stunt like this again, I will expel you in the spot. Bakugo grinned his teeth and went back to his place, and of course Mina cheered up a bit because they can use their quirks, so it would be fun. And the second she said that, Deku looked at her and he told her, you just messed up. And before she asked why, Aizawa told them, fun? Okay, the last place will be expelled immediately. That will be fun, right? They complain but they cannot do anything about it, so they go with the exam and Deku just aced it. I don't remember who was the last place, but I think it was either Mineta or Invisible Girl. But since Mineta can use his quirk to increase his speed by jumping, I think the last place will be Invisible Girl. Of course she was sad and devastated. Then Aizawa told them that he was just messing around. Then Momo told them that she already figured that out, but Deku quickly kicked her from her high horse and he told her that last year he expelled the whole class. And that shocked everyone, so they looked at Aizawa and he smirked. And that sent a chill down everyone's spine. Well, except Deku, he gets used to it. So after this, Deku, Oraka and Ida become friends. And because Deku saved her, just like the anime, she started having feelings for him. And this for everyone that told me that I don't do Oraka x Deku ships. And for Bakugo, he still livid. So fast forward to the next day and they have hero training with All Might. So they follow him to the field and he tells them about the training. Heroes versus villains. And the teams stayed same. Bakugo grinned because he want to fight Deku, but but Deku is preoccupied by getting flustered by Oraka talking to him. So they went inside the building, they start searching from room to room, and before Bakugo attacked them, danger sense kicked in. Deku power bomb for all 10%, he pushed Oraka out of the way, and without wasting a beat, Deku flip and kick Bakugo in the face, sending him away from Oraka. Then Deku told her to go search for the bomb and he will follow her soon. She nods, so Deku have his 1v1 against Bakugo. Bakugo is enraged, needless to say, more than the anime. Deku was always beneath him. Sure, he was physically strong, but compared to him, he was nothing. And now he suddenly have a Quirk. So after he collect himself, he charged at him. And they have almost the same fight as season 3 because Deku is holding back. But Deku clearly have the advantage because he's copying Gran Torino's moves. So in a close space like they are now, it's working for him. Plus this Bakugo is weaker because he just starts UA and Deku is way stronger than Canon. So Deku pushed Bakugo to the point where he desperately need to use his gauntlet. But Deku reacted fast enough to avoid it. Then he charged at him, punching him in the gut, knocking him out. Everyone were impressed except All Might. He know that Deku was holding back, but still he was proud. After that, Deku met up with Oraka and they easily defeated Ida. So fast forward a bit when Bakugo wake up, he get the news that Deku beat him and he took it badly. He leave, but Deku confront him, but before he can say about his quirk, the other users tell him to share it. But still that was more than enough to persuade Bakugo to not give up UA. So after this, fast forward a bit and now it's time for the USJ. Avon is in the bus like the anime, they start talking about their quirks and Tsuyu commented that Deku's quirk resembles All Might's. Both of you are really strong and whenever you punch or kick you release an air pressure. Deku told them, well, I can see that. That's one of the reasons he trained me. Avon pause. He trained you? He nod. You see, my quirk only developed a year before UA. And by coincidence I met All Might and when he saw the similarities between our quirks, he offered to train me. And of course I accept because he's All Might. We see they reply. Then Ida asked him about the entrance exam. He didn't see him at all in a theory 1 or when Presque Mike was talking or in front of the gate before the exam start. Even though you were there when Oraka was getting attacked by the 0-point robot. Well, here's the thing. I did not have to take on the entrance exam because All Might recommended me to UA. Wait, what? You were recommended by All Might? Deku nod. So that shocked them, but for Todoroki, he starts seeing Deku as his rival or the obstacle that he need to surpass to prove that he doesn't need his fire side to his bastard of a father. So they arrive at USJ, they met 13, they go inside, then Kirishima spot Kurogiri's portal. Aizawa tell them they are not fake and they are real villains and he tell Deku to take the class out of here. Deku nod and he tell Avon to get out. And after Aizawa jump, danger sense kick in and Deku is alert. And the second Kurogiri appear, Deku throw a 20% smash at him, pushing him back and preventing him from teleporting Avon around the USJ. Then he tell Ida to go get help. So he start running. Then Deku leap at Kurogiri to attack him, but Kurogiri expand himself. And because he's mostly missed, Deku cannot punch him, so he was able to teleport some of the students around the USJ, like the anime. So Deku is with Tsuyu and Minata, and when the villain attacked Deku underwater, some villains try to attack him, but Deku easily defeat him using a 20% smash, or maybe less than 20%. Then he saw Tsuyu and they go on the boat and they saw they are surrounded. Deku quickly formed a plan like the anime, and they were able to do it, but this time without Deku breaking his fingers. So when they arrived at the main field, they saw Aizawa getting smashed by the Nomu. Deku was going to help him until danger sense kick in, so Deku quickly grabbed the both of them and jumps away. Shigaraki was impressed. You have good reaction speed, kid. Then Deku used 20% to charge at the Nomu and punch him, but it did nothing, so he cranked it up to 30%. Still nothing. So lastly he used 45%. And that's still nothing. Even though his attacks are creating massive shockwave that actually shock Kurogiri and Shigaraki, they weren't enough to actually do any damage to the Nomu. So Shigaraki started laughing and he revealed the quirks of Nomu. Deku looked at Aizawa really quick. Aizawa nod, even though he's injured, he can do it. So Deku charged at Nomu using 45% of one for all, and before he punched him, Aizawa used his quirk to cancel his, so shock absorption will not save him from this one. Deku punched him so hard that he sent him flying, not outside of the USJ but pretty far. But sadly Aizawa is too hurt, so he passed out from blood loss. So Deku ordered Tsuyu and Minata to take Aizawa out of here. So needless to say, Shigaraki was shocked and pissed that someone was able to do that to the Nomu. Then he saw the Nomu standing up without any scratch on him, so he started laughing. Then he ordered the Nomu to attack him, which he did, but because Deku have danger sense, he's able to dodge his attacks. But he cannot hit him at all because he's too fast and strong for him. The best that he can do is buy time until All Might arrive, and after a couple of seconds, because All Might is fast, he arrive and he quickly start fighting the Nomu. But after Deku told him that he wasn't able to do anything against him and his Quirk, All Might knew that he cannot hold back. So he immediately went 100% and beat the Nomu. And at the same time, Kirishima, Bakugo, and Todoroki show up. They only spectate, so nah. But after defeating the Nomu, All Might doesn't have any more time left, so Shigaraki charged at him, but before he can reach him, Deku throws a smash at him, pushing him back and injuring him a bit. But before any one of them do anything else, Snipe shoot him, forcing him to retreat with Kurogiri. So everyone was taken back to UA, and after that they were given a day off. And of course they talk about Deku and what he did, angering Bakugo even more. So fast forward a bit until they return from their break. So Aizawa told them about the sport festival and they have 2 weeks to prepare. So fast forward 2 weeks because there is nothing else to cover, because I did not change Deku too much, only make him a bit more confident and give him one for all early. So he's still the same, although a bit more confident, that's it, and he have one for all early. So the day of the festival come, and in the locker room Todoroki declare war on Deku and Bakugo, but mostly Deku. After that they go to the field. Midnight come in the stage. She called Bakugo because he got the first place. He do his speech, then Midnight tell them about the first event, the obstacle course. So here's the thing, Deku's loss in USJ affect him a bit because now he have control over one for all, the majority of it. And from watching All Might's fight, he knew that All Might is losing one for all, or the remains are getting weaker and weaker. So he need to master one for all before he lose all his power. So he will show that he's here. And the sport festival is the perfect place to show it. So he pop one for all 10%, getting the attention of some students because the electricity around him. And he's letting out a bit of air pressure. Well, it's almost like a breeze. Anyway, when Presgama tell them to go, Deku just zoom past everyone, acquiring the first place in mere seconds. Then Todoroki and Bakugo follow suit, with Bakugo using explosion to fly at him, and Todoroki freezes everything to try to stop him, to no avail. So Deku is in the first place, going through any 1-point robot or 2-point robot in front of him. Bakugo is closely behind him. He's a bit stronger than Canon because he wants to catch up to Deku. Same for Todoroki, but only his eyesight. So when they reach 0-point robots, Deku starts using 20%, the same power that All Might is using while traveling, to leap at the 0-point robot and push him aside. By kicking him, it was not enough to destroy it, but enough to push it off balance, making it fall. Then he keep using 20% to get the lead on Bakugo and Todoroki, and by only using 20% he was able to go all the obstacles. The ravines, he jumps from platform to platform. The mines, he just zoom past them, he's just too fast for them. So he earned the first place, and he celebrates that with lifting his fist up in the air, with a big smile on his face. So after this, they rest for a bit, and then they have the second event, the cavalry battle, and everyone wants to be in Deku's team because he's strong. Even though he have 10 million and most or all of them will go after him, he can handle his own. But for simplicity's sake, I don't want to spend an hour thinking of which team Deku will go with. He will have the same team as the anime. Plus, he kind of feel like he's repaying Power Loader for breaking his robots by letting Hatsumi in his team and showing her babies. So everyone get ready, and like they expected, everyone charged at Deku. But because of the help of Oraka's Quirk and his Air Force attacks, they were able to avoid most of them. And of course Hatsumi's babies, and Tokoyami working as a shield. Plus Deku is working like a cannon, pushing everyone away from them using his Air Force. The only two people that actually come close to Deku are Bakugo and Todoroki. Todoroki was able to surround Deku's team with ice, limiting their movement for a bit until Deku break the ice easily. So that pushed Ida to use his Recipro, and of course it took Deku by surprise, so Deku's team quickly turned around and tried to get the headband back. They were able to get close, and that created an opening, so Deku used Black Whip to grab all the headbands from Todoroki's neck. Needless to say, Deku showing his new Quirk shocked everyone. He never once used it. So Deku lock eyes with Todoroki, and Deku smile and tell him, "You're not the only one with a complex quirk, Todoroki." And after seeing this, Bakugo launched at him, but before he can reach him, Pesgmak yelled, "Time is up!" So everyone start cheering for them, and of course during that break, Deku's friends start asking him about his quirk. Does he have two or what? So Deku made up a lie by telling them that his quirk can stockpile energy, and those whip are him basically letting out his energy outside. "Nice lying, kid. It almost fooled me," Banjo told him. Deku just laughed nervously. So after this, Midnight announced the finals. Like the anime, Shinso tried to talk with Deku, but Ojiro stopped him. Then he took him aside and he told him about Shinso's quirk. Deku thanks him, then they called him because it's time for his match. So he made his way toward the arena, and when he arrived, Shinso saw him and he tried to provoke him to talk, and in the end he succeeded. He was able to use his quirk on him, but with the help of the other users, Deku snapped out of it, and he quickly beat Shinso. The rest of the fight stayed the same, and now Deku have to face Todoroki. So Deku is making his way toward the arena, and Endeavor stopped him. "Yo kid, I saw your strength, and I want you to push Shoto to use his fire side, and stop being stubborn, so he can finally accept his destiny to beat All Might." Deku walked past him, but when he mentioned the last part, Deku stopped and he told him, "I am not All Might. Even though our powers are similar, I am not him. Maybe my dream is to become a hero just like him, but this is my dream, my decision. The same way is the decision of Todoroki to make his own path, not yours." Then Deku made his way toward the arena. So he faced off Todoroki, and Todoroki immediately starts shooting barrage of ice at him, and Deku starts using 20% of One For All to avoid them or break them when he need. So Todoroki cannot land a single hit on him, and whenever Deku hit him, he always lower his power to 10%. He still want to help him to use his fire side, but he's also want to win. So soon after that, frost started gathering on Todoroki's body, so that made Deku's job way more easier, but Todoroki soon realized that Deku is holding back against him quite a lot. And after Deku told him why, he gave him the same speech as the anime that literally ignited his his right side. Todoroki told him that he's crazy to helping his opponent. Deku just smiled. Then Todoroki immediately launched a massive pillar of ice toward Deku, but he was able to jump above it, then he used Black Whip to get in front of Todoroki as fast as he can. If you did read the manga, you know what I'm talking about. So Deku delivered a powerful smash to Todoroki that sent him out of the ring, even though he tried to stop himself using his ice, but Deku's smash was more than enough to send him flying through it. So Deku won and everyone cheered for him. Fast forward a bit, then we have the final between Deku and Bakugo. Technically their second match. Bakugo in this what if is a bit stronger than canon because he's livid that Deku beat him and he's stronger than him, so he pushed himself even harder than before. So they face off each other with Bakugo glaring at Deku. "You better take this fight seriously, nerd, because I will. And this time I'm going to win and crush you." Deku a bit anxious because, well, he's still the same Deku, and we saw that Deku is a bit, I wouldn't say afraid, but there's not any other word for it, so he's a bit afraid of Bakugo, even though they're pretty much equal in the anime. And like I told you before, I did not change Deku's character, so he will still feel the same way, just a bit. So Bakugo launched himself toward him and Deku power up 10% and does the same, and it's clear that whatever Bakugo did made him stronger, but Deku was not slack enough either. So basically it's a repeat of the previous fight, but this time Bakugo doesn't have his gauntlet, so he did push his body to his limit and used 3 big explosions that were almost going to hit Deku, but because of danger sense he was able to avoid them. Then Deku grabbed him by his hand and threw him over his shoulder, slamming him against the ground, and because of the force the impact, Bakugo bounced, so Deku quickly finished it with a kick that sent him flying out of the ring. So Deku won. Bakugo is livid, but Deku did won fair and square, using everything that he got. So unlike the anime, Bakugo is just standing there without any chains. So he starts changing a bit faster than the anime. He starts seeing Deku as someone that he needs to surpass rather than someone that he can step on. After this we have the Stain arc. So Gran Torino already know Deku and he already taught him how to use One For All correctly, so there is technically nothing else he can teach him except for fighting real villains. Or after seeing his progress, Night Eye will try to confront him and see if he can make him give One For All to Mirio. But in the anime Deku did save Ida, so without him there, Ida will be dead, and even if Todoroki found him, I don't think he will be strong enough to face him. I mean Stain. I can pull a BS move, but let's stick with the anime, shall we? Deku was invited by Gran Torino, so he can learn how to fight in the street, even though Nizu and All Might already taught him that because the fake city. He did not go against real villains, only robots. So the same thing happened as the anime. Deku went to Gran Torino, they trained for a bit, and Gran Torino soon realized that Deku is pretty much a monster now, even though he cannot use 100% yet, and because of his training for the sport festival he was able to bump his limit to 50%. So soon after that they are on the train, and Deku did realize Ida's change, and the previous users reinforced his theory that he might do something stupid. Luckily, or whatever you call it, and Nemu burst to the train, so Gran Torino pushed it off and Deku follows suit, and soon after that he encountered the 3 Nemus, and when he saw the one that resembles the one in the USJ, he immediately charged at him and kicked him using 50%, doing quite a lot of damage. Then he heard someone calling for Ida, so he knew that he's doing something stupid. So he starts searching for him, and because of his research, he knew where to search for Stain. And because he's also stronger than Canon, he can move way faster. So he pretty much saved Ida the second he was paralyzed. Okay, here's the thing, Stain is my favorite character, so even though he's strong, I don't think he can stand a chance against Deku that can use 50% of One For All and have Black Whip and Danger Sense. Just by having Danger Sense, Stain cannot touch him, and Black Whip can work like a shield or something like that, and that it's on top of Deku's high level of One For All. Of course, Deku did not use 50% against him, he will not kill the guy. But in their fight, Stain recognized Deku as a true hero, so he told him to back down. Deku is not going to do that, so they fought, but in the end Stain lost, so Deku did not need Todoroki's help to fight him, and Deku really knew how to use his words for his advantage, especially against his classmate, so he was able to convince Ida that what he did was wrong. After that he grabs Stain with the Black Whip and they walk outside. The Pro thanks him for saving him. Even with that, he still earned a kick to the face from Gran Torino. Then a Fly Numo show up and he grabbed Deku, but because Deku is not as tired as the anime, he was able to break free. Then he punched the Numo so hard that he knocked him out. After that the Cub show up and they reprimand Deku and Ida for what they did, but they also thank them for it. So here's the thing, I can cover the 2 hero movies, but what's the point? It's still the same, we just have to remove Bakugo and Kirishima for the equation. Maybe Deku will invite Bakugo to come with him, but I don't think so. But overall, nothing will change. It just will be much easier because Deku is stronger. Sure, Melissa will still give him the gauntlet, but with him already able to use 50%, the robots and mostly all the villains are just child play, except for Warfred when he put on the device, but with All Might's help they were able to defeat him. So nothing has changed. So after they return to school, Aizawa tells them about the finals and they have to prepare for it. So everyone train, and we still have the same interaction with everyone. So the day of the finals came, and when class 1 arrived, Nizo told them that each 2 students will fight a teacher, same teachers going against the same teams. Deku and Bakugo were still shocked that they are going against All Might, but Deku in this What If is more determined to fight All Might and see how he compared to him, because now more than ever he knows that All Might have limited time as a pro hero, and he rather be prepared if that happened than not. Everything went on as the same as the anime. Todoroki fought Aizawa until Momo got her confidence back and they won. Oraka and Oyama went against 13 and they won the same as the anime, with Aoyama teasing Oraka about Deku. And now is the finals. Deku and Bakugo versus All Might. There was an awkward silence until Bakugo speak up to the shock of Deku and he tell him, "I'm going to beat All Might, either you like it or not." Deku looked down to think about it, then he looked him dead in the eyes. "You're not the only one," and that shocked Bakugo a bit. He didn't show it, but deep down he kind of liked this new Deku, and even though he will not say it out loud, he's changing. So they walk in and they start thinking of a plan, but Bakugo shout at him and tell him that it's All Might. What do you think a plan will work against him? The best thing that we can do is just try to take him off guard and blast him away. Deku agreed with him, but they still need a plan. Then All Might throws a smash at them. He walked through the smoke and he tells them that he's a villain now, and immediately Bakugo and Deku charge at him, and that surprised All Might. They are working together already? He smiled until he was punched with Deku 30% to his face. That pushed him back, then Deku grabbed him by Black Whip and pulled him toward Bakugo. Then he proceeded to blast him with everything that he got. and it was able to throw All Might off guard, so both of them charged at them with Deku going first because he's faster. At first he was only going 30%, but whenever he punched him, he started using 50%, creating a lot of shockwave in the process, and that was troublesome because Bakugo cannot get close to them. But this assault made them realize something crucial: they are not strong enough to defeat him. Yes, All Might is weaker and slower because of the weight, but he's still far stronger and far more faster than Deku, and by extension Bakugo. So after creating a smoke screen, they hide from him to form a plan. Bakugo was against it, but he knew that there is no other way, so he went with it. So they start with Bakugo going outside, provoking All Might, and when he covered a bit with smoke, Deku leaped at him, punching him with everything that he got, meaning 50%, and that was able to hurt All Might a bit. And when he collected himself, he saw Bakugo charging at him with a Hauser impact, and also his gauntlet that are being held by Deku's Black Whip. So the second Bakugo landed his Hauser impact, Deku pulled the triggers, so the three explosions combined, creating a massive explosion that basically launched Bakugo to the other side of the city, hurting him a bit. Then Deku grabbed Bakugo with Black Whip and take him toward the exit. He was a bit against it, but he already used up all that he have against All Might, so they were able to exit the city and they won. All Might was proud of the both of them, but they were still taken to recovery girl because All Might did hurt them a bit. So after resting for a day, then they returned to school. Aizawa told them about the results, and it was the same as the anime, same with the next events, with them going to the pool, then the mall. But here's the thing, when Shigaraki was getting close to Deku, Danger Sense kicked in and Deku jumped back, and when Shigaraki saw that, he quickly hid himself. Deku was not able to spot him because he was wearing a hoodie and he doesn't have his hands on his face. So Shigaraki sneaked away because he knew he cannot get close to Deku, and he's way more troublesome than he thought. So after that they go to the camp. When they arrive, they met Pixie Bob and Mandalay, and Pixie Bob pushed them off the cliff. Same thing happened, but they were able to go through the forest way faster because of Deku. Aizawa was thinking of making him not participate, but he doesn't want to show any favoritism, so he let him be. After that they met up with the full version of the Wild Wild Pussycat. Koda's almighty punch happened, the bed scene, the beginning of the training, same thing as the anime. Small change is when Tiger told Deku to fight him. Deku of course only used 10%. Tiger was barely able to avoid it, and when he tried to punch Deku, Deku dodged with ease. You're good, kid. I guess we have to amp up the training even more for you. So time went on and Deku still have his interaction with Koda. Then they get attacked by the villains. They're still going for Bakugo and Tokoyami for some reason, but this time they're way more wary about Deku. They know he's strong, so they don't take him lightly. Still, Muscular is an impatient, so he went on his own. So after getting attacked, Deku went to search for Koda and he saved him from Muscular, so that led them to fight, and this time Deku is holding his own against him. Sure, he's tired from the training, but Deku is also stronger. I would say now he can use up to 60%. So the one that read the manga know what happened when they met again. But you have to remember his muscles were a bit weaker because his previous fight. So I won't say it will be easy for Deku, but you have to remember he's way more agile than him and he's faster and also smaller than him, so taking everything into consideration, Deku was able to give Muscular a run for his money using 60%, and when he saw an opening he quickly knocked him out, the same way he did in their second fight. But that fight took a lot out of him, so after trapping him under the rubble, Deku picked up Koda and start running. In the way he met up with Aizawa, he told him that he fought Muscular and what happened. Then he encountered Shoji and Dark Shadow, and they use him to beat Moonfish. Then they meet Oraka and Tsuyu and they are fighting Toga. So she ran away, and this time she doesn't have her crush on Deku because he was not injured. So the group starts making their way back to the camp. Then the Danger Sense kick in because Mr. Compress is near, and he saw him getting close to Bakugo and Tokoyami, so he quickly rushed at him and he punched him away. And Deku did deliver quite a punch, but he was able to escape. Tokoyami thanked him, Bakugo just scoffed. So they make their way back to the camp and they were able to arrive safely, but because they did not capture Bakugo, Momo and the one from 1B are running from the Numu, and at the same time Mr. Compress reported back that he failed. They tried to contact Muscular to no avail. They have the Numu, but they don't think that will be enough, especially with Aizawa on the scene, so they decide to call it back to run away. So they were able to put a tracker on it, so the League of Villains escape, but they were still able to take Ragdoll. After that the police show up. They took Muscular and Moonfish. After that, Avon was taken to the hospital for a quick checkup because of the gas. So of course the heroes and the teachers come to see their students, especially All Might. And his bond is Deku is even stronger than the anime. It's their second year together. So All Might is more like his father figure than his teacher. So after making sure that they are safe, Momo take All Might aside and she show him the tracker, so they get ready for the raid. And it begins the same way as the anime, but this time they did not capture Bakugo, so the students did not try to save him. So the raid start the same way, pizza time, then All Might bursting through the wall, Kamui would capturing the League of Villains, then they got teleported by All for One. All Might goes to fight him, and it's mostly like the anime, but we have to remember one little thing. All Might gave Deku One for All early, so he used up way more embryos than the anime, meaning either his time limit is really short or he's weaker. Plus, because Bakugo is not there, All Might doesn't need to hold back. So he starts fighting All for One, but soon after that he reaches his limits. So he's already start letting out smoke, and half of his face already went back to his base form. Not everyone noticed that, but from the one that did are Gran Torino and Deku, and by extension the previous users. And they are afraid that All Might doesn't have enough power to beat him, and Deku's worst fear will come true, and Nana commented that it's like history is repeating herself. Then Deku shouted and told her that he will not let that happen. He ran out of the hospital and started flying toward the fight. The previous user tried to stop him, but Deku is not listening to them. Back to All Might's fight. When he blocked one of One's attacks, he revealed his skinny form, so everyone saw his true form, and to add salt on the wound, All for One revealed that Shigaraki is Nana Shimura's grandson. All Might feel defeated, they start cheering for him, but before he can say anything, Endeavor shot a flame toward All for One and he started yelling at All Might. Then the rest of the heroes come and try to help him. Sadly, they are no match for him, so All for One mocked them and he put his hand toward All Might. He started charging an air cannon, I guess like master like student. All Might, you're leaving your student the same way your master left you, so prepare to die, All Might. Don't worry, I'm pretty sure that you will meet her in the afterlife. All for One's hand got bigger, All Might was preparing himself to punch it, then suddenly All for One was punched in the face by Deku no less, using 60%, and that attack was strong enough to push All for One back to the ground and create a massive crater with a massive shockwave. Needless to say, everyone was surprised that Izuku is here and he just punched All for One. So Deku fly down toward All Might and he check on him. Young Midoriya, what are you doing here? Deku give him a big smile and tell him to help you, of course. We don't know that you have been using a lot of your power recently, so you were able to figure it out? Deku nod. I thought that you will. You're pretty smart. Then All Might start coughing up some blood. Then All for One speak up. You're pretty strong, Midoriya. Now I understand why Shigaraki and his group had a tough time against you. Then he smiled. So let's see if we can put on more of a fight than your mentor. I'm already tired of him. He's just a bunch of bones. Deku got pissed and he power up 60% and he charged at him. He throws a punch. All for One do the same, and when they collide, they create a shockwave that shock everyone that Deku, this kid, have this much power. Good. You're pretty strong, but not enough. Then he pull his left hand and try to punch him, but Deku dodge by using danger sense. Then he uppercut him, pushing him back. All for One wipe the blood from his mouth and smile. You're good. Let's see if you can keep up. So they start fighting with Deku mostly dodging his attacks. He's able to land some, and when he did, they don't do a lot of damage. Plus his body started hurting him from using 60%. So that left him open, and All for One used an air cannon to push him back to the ground, hurting him quite a lot. Quickly Gran Torino rush at him to check on him. Oh Midoriya, you did put up quite a fight, not going to lie. But you're still no match for me. And now both master and student will die today. There was a silence until Deku slowly speak up. You won't. He stand on his feet, one fall going through all his body, then he yell at top of his lungs, and immediately power up to 100%. His hair spike up, then he instantly charged All for One, taking him by surprise, delivering a furious smash to his gut that sent him flying. Then Deku followed behind him, then he kicked him back to the ground, but before he can reach, he grabbed him by black whip and pulled him toward him, and he started delivering blow after blow. All for One, because he was taken off guard, he took on the full blown of Deku's assault, and after one good smash that sent him back to the ground, Deku landed, and everyone was surprised about his power and the fact that both of his hands are completely broken and his legs. And the reason he's able to stand up, it's because of Black Whip. He's surrounding his limbs with it and also helping him to stand. He's panting and gasping for air because he's clearly in pain, but he's bearing with it to fight. And after seeing that, All Might started cursing himself. His own student, successor, is breaking his body for him. As his mentor, he will not let him do that. And as his predecessor, he need to make sure that he can prevent that. So that gave All Might his second wind and last, and he used up every ounce of One for All to power up back to his muscular form. He goes stand beside Deku and tell him, Young Midoriya. Deku looked at him, and All Might know that look, he will not back down. All Might smile and tell him, let's do it. One last time. Both of them smile and they charge at All for One and he's just regenerate from Deku's assault. So did you guys played or watch God of War? The last one, when him and his son going against Balder? Imagine that. All for One is in a complete back foot and they are not giving him any time to rest. And after one solid smash that pushed him away from them, All for One merged all his quirks in his right hand and he charged at the both of them and two of them throw that smash at him. The three attack collided. Deku used all his power into his right hand and All Might do the same with his left hand. They were able to push All for One's hand away, even with his impact recall, and both of them land a double United State of Smash. And because only one United State of Smash was able to not only to knock out All for One, but also to damage him to the point that he needs machines to stay alive. So needless to say, two double United State of Smash is easily capable of killing him, which it did. All Might doesn't know how to feel about it, but if push come to shove, he will take on the blame. So after the attack, the area was covered with smoke, and when the smoke dissipated, it revealed that Deku and All Might are still standing, and All Might ended it by lifting his left hand and powering up one last time, and Deku mimicking him. Everyone cheered for them. Then Deku proceeded to fall on his back because his hands and limbs are broken and he's exhausted. Young Midoriya, you're okay? All Might asked. Deku is gasping for air with a smile on his face. All Might just smile. Soon after that, the medic took them to the hospital. Luckily for Deku, it's the first time he broke his hands in a while. Plus his body is way more stronger than the anime at this point of time, so he doesn't have any permanent damage. And the heroes and the police did scold him for what he did, but they still thank him in the end because even All Might himself requested his help. And they were able to hide All for One's body from the media, so Deku will not be in trouble. Plus, no one will actually feel pity for All for One except Shigaraki. He's livid, and that will affect him. So fast forward a few days and Deku was let go of the hospital. Then they told him about the dorm system. His mom was a bit against it because of the last fight, but after All Might come to visit and he promised her that he will keep him safe, she accepted. So when he returned to school, everyone bombarded him with questions and what he did, but Aizawa glared at him and tell him if it was not for All Might retiring, he would be expelled. So everyone get their rooms and everything returned to normal. And of course Deku still have his interaction with the reporter and he confronted him about him being All Might's successor. So fast forward a bit and they have the provisional license and mostly nothing changed except everything become much easier to Deku. And because of his earlier change, Bakugo become a bit more less aggressive. But sadly he still lost and he didn't get his license, although barely. If he didn't yell, he would have it. Once again, fast forward a bit, they have their fight against Mirio. So here's the thing, we have Deku, he have power and multiple quirks. Mirio have his quirk and experience. So I'm having a tough decision here. Who will win? For now I will give it for Deku, but it's up for debate. Tell me what you think about it in the comment section. But let's say that Mirio did give Deku a run for his money. So after Deku won, Mirio was impressed. So that led him telling Night Eye about Deku. So when it's time for them to do their work study, Night Eye called for Deku. So when he comes see him, Deku saw Bubble Girl getting tortured. I mean laughing. And after Night Eye told Bubble Girl and Mirio to leave, he told Deku bluntly that even though he saved All Might, he doesn't see him as his worthy successor, and he will try his best to make him give up One for All. But Deku was intrigued and tell him, what do you mean saving All Might? Night Eye looked at him dead in the eyes and tell him, you can ask him. Then Deku and Mirio went on patrol. Eri bumped into Deku. The same exchange happened as the anime, but this time Deku have his mask on because Mirio told him to put on, because literally the second they step outside of Night Eye agency, people start recognizing Deku and they start surrounding him a lot. So to prevent that, Mirio told him to put on his mask. So after confronting Shisaki, Deku tried to save Eri, but once again Mirio was able to stop him. So they report back to Night Eye and he told him what happened, and basically the event played the same until the raid. Deku confronting All Might about what Night Eye told him. All Might revealed that he might die a horrible death, so that motivated Deku to change the future. Then the meeting happened. Then Then they inform them that they have to wait. Then it's the day of the raid. Everyone get ready outside of Shihasakai headquarters. Rikiya burst through the door. Ryuko stopped him. Then the raid began like the anime. So fast forward a bit and Mirio is fighting Shisaki. But this time right before he got shot by the Quirk racing bullet, Deku broke through the wall. He was able to see the bullet in slow motion, the same way All Might did in USG with the Numu. He quickly rushed in front of Mirio and he slammed his foot against the ground, creating a shield in front of him blocking the bullet. Then he kicked the rocks toward the one that shot the bullet, knocking him out. So because in this what if Deku is faster and have way more experience, he was easily able to defeat Shisaki. He was even able to prevent him from transforming to his monster form. Of course he did insult Eri and told her to come back, but because Mirio is not as hurt as the anime, plus Night Eye is there, Shisaki was defeated. So after the raid, same thing happened as the anime. Eri was taken to the hospital, and after some time Deku and Mirio come to see her. The school festival happened, and Eri finally smiled. So we fast forward a bit, and everything seemed peaceful. Deku is keeping up with his training and he's able to use 70% of One for All. So when it's time for the 1A vs 1B fights, needless to say, Deku overpowered everyone. He already unlocked and used the other quirks, except for the second and third user. They're still a bit related to help him. So in this what if, because Night Eye is still alive, Deku is still doing his work study with him, so nothing big happened for a while. Deku is continuing with his training to master One for All, and Night Eye finally gave up and started giving Deku some good training to increase his percentage. So fast forward 3 months and it's time for the war. Everyone split like the manga, and at first it seemed everything is going alright. Because Deku is stronger, Bakugo trained even harder to try to catch up to him. Same for Todoroki, and that rubbed off on the rest of the class. So everyone is stronger than canon, well except the pros, they are still the same. So the event played the same, with them going to the lab, they fought the Numus, Miriko getting hurt, Shigaraki getting out from the pod, him killing a bunch of heroes, Deku saving as much as he can using Black Whip, then Shigaraki rushed at him and Deku can sense it, so he charged at him, and two of them clash. Needless to say, it was an powerful impact. Everything and everyone was pushed away, and immediately Deku can feel and sense that this is not Shigaraki. And while they're clashing, there is almost like a connection, and Deku was able to see Shigaraki with like one going out from his body, and like they are fused. And after seeing that, Nana was a bit saddened because she knew deep down it's already too late. At first they thought that maybe they can save him, but now there's only one option. And after Deku saw the look on Shigaraki's face, he tried to grab him and talk to him, but he also quickly realized that it's already too late. All For One is mostly in control. So they resumed their fight. So they start exchanging blows, and Deku right now have full mastery over One for All, except for the second and third quirks. They still haven't given them to him. So here's the thing about Shigaraki right now. Because of Deku's strength and the fact that he killed his master, he was more than willing to go through the operation earlier than canon. So this Shigaraki All For One is already at 100%. So Deku starts using everything in his arsenal to beat him. Punch, kicks, Black Whip, everything. But Shigaraki was still able to regenerate. Damn it, he's going to be tough. Then the first user speak up and he addressed the second and third. It's now or never, you know that. At first they stood silent, but they know it's the last chance to defeat All For One. So they talk with Deku and they give him information about their quirks. And since we only know about the third user's quirk, I'm only going to use it. The second one, I don't know, so I'm not going to use it. So after he explained his quirk, Deku got an idea. He resumed his fight with Shigaraki. Blow after blow, Deku start stockpiling up kinetic energy. Then he starts using it to his advantage to increase his strength. And that was able to equal the playing field with Shigaraki having super regeneration and Deku having his increase in strength. So they're going toe to toe. But Deku know one touch from Shigaraki and he's gone. I mean if he grab him. So after a while both of them are exhausted. Then Shigaraki launched himself toward Deku to land the finishing blow. Deku, by using Dangerous Sense, he was able to react fast enough to avoid his attack and use all the kinetic energy that he gathered to punch Shigaraki as hard as he can in his face, mimicking All Might United State of Smash. So needless to say, combine 100% One For All with whatever Deku was able to gather, plus Shigaraki's body is at his limits. Deku accidentally kill him. The reason I say accidental, it's because Deku was not going for the kill, but he used up everything that he have and that was more than enough to kill him. He felt remorseful and sad for Nana Shimura to witness this, and right before he died, One for All and All for One did have a small connection, with All for One cursing everything and everyone, especially Deku because he lost. Shigaraki just facing Nana, not even looking at her. He slowly fade away. I deserve this. Nana hugged him and she apologized. Don't be, you did nothing wrong. It's me who fell for his tricks. And I killed so many people. And now, I guess it's my time to pay. Then he looked at Deku. Well, at very least, thank you for trying. To save me, I mean. Deku just nod. Then Shigaraki completely fade away. Deku felt bad, I mean, quite bad. But the other users assure him that he did everything that he could and Shigaraki was too far gone. He killed a lot of heroes today, plus they can feel it. All for One already fused with him, so even if he tried to save him, he will fail. So Deku decides to rest a bit. Meanwhile, the heroes are fighting as hard as they can to defeat the Nomus, and without Shigaraki's guidance, they are evenly spread, so the heroes are able to take them on for a bit. Then after resting a bit, Deku joined the fight, defeating as much Nomus as he can, until Jigaki Makia show up. Yes, he's strong and he did give Deku a run for his money, but he was able to defeat him by using everything that he still have. But after this fight, Deku is exhausted. He cannot fight anymore, so he passed out. Luckily, the other heroes were able to defeat the rest of the villains and Nomus. Dabi still have his fight against Endeavor and Todoroki, but because Todoroki is stronger than Canon, he was able to help Endeavor even more, and Endeavor doesn't need to waste his energy on Shigaraki because Deku is keeping him at bay. Even though it was a close call, he was able to defeat him, but W still was able to reveal his true identity to everyone and what Endeavor did. So needless to say, Endeavor have a lot to explain. And for Deku, he was taken to the hospital to rest and treat his injuries. Same for the others, they were able to win, but they did lose a lot of pro heroes. Back to the hospital, every parent are seeing their children. That means Inko is with Deku and All Might. Both of them are proud of him for coming this far. You know what, young Midoriya? Then All Might smile. I'm really happy that I met you that day. Deku smile. Same here, All Might. Even though I was almost getting killed by a Sludge villain. All Might chuckle, then his mom gets serious and tell him, killed? Sludge villain? Young man, explain. Deku laughed nervously. And because it was a war, someone in Tartarus heard what happened. And he smiled. Well kid, like expected, you are a true hero. After that, Deku returned to UA, he graduated and got his license, and of course, he's with Oraka. And after he's done with UA, and after a couple of years, he became the #1 hero, and Boku is behind him. For now, he's content with second, but he still wants to get to first place one day. After this, well, Deku married Oraka, and he's enjoying the life that he's always dreamed about. And with this, that's the end of this What If. I know it's a bit new and weird comparing to my other What Ifs, but I did not change Deku's personality or anything, I just give him the power early, so the second he masters his power, everything will be easy. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed my take on this topic, and if you enjoy it, drop a like, it does help me a lot. And I did see you guys comment, I'm currently working on my other stories, so don't worry. And if you're new, subscribe, there is more videos like this coming, and see you guys soon. Peace.